today we want to focus on what it looks like growing up as a Christian. Like, what does that look like today's date? Like, how do you, for you, both of us had stories of growing up in the church, but how did that kind of cross over into your adulthood? Like, we laughed about all the stuff that, we were taught and were told no, but, I really want to dive into like the Calvin today, all the stuff that you experienced growing up in church, this this notion of what a Christian looks like. Our look of Christianity was based off of what we were told, not really what we were shown. And so what does that look like in today's date for an individual who is a Christian, but has got this misconception of what Christianity really looks like?
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's good. I like to call them lukewarm lives.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that our generation specifically, whether they're probably in that, I think some of their like 50s, early 50s on down to about 29 right now, are in that gap of years where our parents made us go to church.
Mm-hmm.
We were forced to go to church and Sunday school, youth, young people's night, young people department, whatever your church called it. And it was a lot of things that we were taught that weren't necessarily Bible. But those things were what were deemed as a Christian look or a Christian supposed to do. One of the biggest misconceptions is how we dress.
Oh,
And
man.
I say the biggest misconception because of the fact that it made the person that dressed differently and the person that didn't have the suit or the below the knee length dress or even any dress clothes at all feel like that I'm unfit to go worship here. Mm-hmm. And so we gave a uniform and a look, that shirt, that tie, those pants, and we gave a uniform to what we were supposed to wear to church. I think that's a misconception that I have to dress up to go to church. And I really love Lecrae's movement of church clothes.
Church clothes, yep.
Because what it did was it made those millennials in that age that, hey, that just don't fit what I wear. That's not in my my budget to buy that, or that's not in my style to wear that, to realize that our fashion in modesty, it like God really don't care about you wearing a 3-piece suit to church. That what you have on doesn't necessarily have to do with your holiness. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's one of the misconceptions that used to drive me crazy, especially in some circles and some groups, that you really had to wear this. That some people took scripture out of context and said women can't wear nothing pertaining to a man and and say, okay, y'all got to wear skirts, so y'all got to wear this. Not arguing about this is wrong, but I do want to point out the fact that nobody was wearing skirts and pants back then. Everybody was in like robes and yeah. I just wanted to point that out before I moved on. But just to say that we lost a whole generation of people talking about clothes.
Mm-hmm. I want to go back to, you just said this, and I had to write it down. You said, what you have on does not define your holiness. That's good, because to your point, when I was growing up, man, I grew up Kojic. And so growing up Kojic, man, it was that you could not be Kojic and not talk about holiness, right? But being around the Kojic arena, you will see things that didn't resemble holiness, yet they always talked about it. So to your point, the more of a hat that you had on, or your three-piece suit that you had on, or how thick your tie was, how short your tie was, because you remember that was a time where you used to wear short ties and
not this fat,
not be
and your
this
tie
fat,
up here at your
and you
sternum.
had,
Yep.
yeah, and you wear the wide leg pants, and you had your shoes had to match your tie, and the women, they whole outfit they was matching from head to toe, literally. And those people downtrodden the young people because they wouldn't dress like that. So then it forced that generation to dress like that because that was their way to identify holiness. Holiness was not about what was inside of you, it was more about what it looks like to other people. Yeah. You looked holy by what you had on. So if you came into church with jeans and some Air Force Ones and the long white tee and the snapback, how we used to dress back in the day, they looked at you as thuggish. They looked at you as thuggish. They looked at you as streetwear, or someone who was from the streets. They looked at you that how could you dress like that and say that you were Christian? Like, it was so much that we as a generation, me and you, dealt with. So now you got this generation of millennials who like, no, I'm not putting on no suit. No, I'm not going to put on, I don't even own a suit. Let's start there. They don't even own a suit.
They're high. They're high. We ain't got the money. We ain't got the money to buy no suit.
You're talking about a suit, $300-$400. You know what I'm saying? So they thinking like, man, for $200-$300, I can go to Walmart. I can go to Kroger. Target, and buy about 4-5 outfits for what I wear at the church.
Yeah.
And man, when I tell you, I was so glad that my parents took us out of that gospel bullying of what you got on to this place of, you know what? God is not so concerned about what's on you, but rather what's in you. And my parents started to really change what's on the inside of you matters. I remember even Jesus was telling the Pharisees, they was like, how can y'all eat and don't even wash your hands and don't even, and he's like, you're so concerned about what they're doing. I'm concerned about their heart. Mm. The same thing for all of us is like, when did we get to this place of Christianity where we felt like, I got to judge your holiness. I got to judge your Christianity. I got to judge your relationship with God with what you got on. Like, you can't, man, I ain't even gonna flex, man, coming to my new place of employment. First thing I told my pastor, I said, look, man, I got earrings, nose ring, I got tattoos. Man, this is just who I am, man. I just love God, all of the above. And he said to me, he was like, oh, I know that. I can sense that even just talking with you. He said, but what do you tell that old saint who don't understand your relationship with God and it'll automatically judge you based off of what you got on? Mm-hmm. I said, that's a great question, Pastor. I'm going to look that sweet old lady in her face and say, at the end of the day, this body is not going to heaven. My soul.
My Lord.
And because my soul is connected to God, that's all that even matters.
Yeah.
Man, that's a good answer. How did you come to that? Man, I've been fighting my identity for a long time. And people will perceive something without even getting to know me based off of what I got on. How do we, so I go back to my question again, like, so how do we as a society of Christianity, this Christian community, how do we get to this place of what defines you as a Christian? Because there's somebody that's listened to this that want to go to church, but they're worried about what they, because they don't own it. They don't own what the stereotypical look of a Christian, honestly, what does a Christian look like? Because I'm confused. Yeah. Like, there's so many questions. Let's unpack that. Like, what, in today's society, what does a Christian really look like?
So Jesus answered it very simply, is that they'll know you by your love. Like, it's like that I love, and don't get that twisted either. That our godly love that it's not judgmental, yet it's not compromising. They'll know us about we're loving. Like it's not a look. I think that's a point. It's a different thing to see and observe, but it's not a look. That somebody might look at you and your mannerisms and see God on you, but not necessarily your clothes.
That's good, sir.
I went through a whole phase of my life where I wore crosses every day, whether it was a shirt, a bracelet, like something I had on had a cross on it, and it was just kind of my way. But I grew out of that, and my mannerisms, like you might see two people in a setting, and like you should be able to watch what I do and watch my life, and know I'm a believer because you see me exhibiting love, displaying the fruit of the Spirit. That's what it looks like. That there is no haircut, no hairstyle, no clothes. There is no there should be modesty, and I must keep saying there must be modesty. But there is no brand of clothes. There is no certain shoe. Because I remember the shouting shoe when I was coming up with a good Stacey Adams.
Yes, sir.
A good old Stacey Adams shoe. I was gonna test my shoe to make sure it slid across the floor.
That part right there.
And if it didn't slide,
yes, he couldn't do it right there.
If it couldn't do it in the store, I'm not buying. I didn't like that little rough part, but I need some slick so I can slide across that carpet when the footwork got started. But that didn't make me holy because I knew people, and me personally would went through a phase where my shoes was slick on Sunday and my mouth was slick on Monday. That my clothes looked holy, but my heart was far from it. And
Reverend Calvin, sir,
that wasn't it.
My shoes were slick on Sunday, but I had a slickish mouth on Monday, sir.
On Monday, I could cut you out with a smile on my face. And like we had what Timothy says, what the letter Timothy says, had a form of godliness, but denied the power thereof.
Yes, sir.
I looked holy. I looked like a Christian, but I was really just churchy. I really and this is a crazy that in Romans where it talk about be not conformed to the things of this world, to the dress code of this group, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. So even if I have on the clothes that match what the church is wearing, even if I know the dance moves, or I know, hey, we wearing green this day, we wear gray this day, we wear black that day, and I got it to match with my lapel pin and my cuff links, my French cuff shirt. And look, when you real fancy, you get your initials embroidered right there.
You knew you was somebody when you had your initials embroidered there, or you had
the cuff link with a you know it, and your church shoes had the little point, your toes never touched the floor. You looked churchy, but you lived crappy. That our clothes and what we have on, they don't make me holy. That's one misconception that I know that I saw, not just saw, that I struggle with. That I thought me putting on my church clothes, I never forget a mother, and I won't say her name, growing up, told me I was a kid. I think I was like 12. And I was like in between age groups. So I wasn't with the older kids, but I was a little older than the younger kids. So I was like that one in the age group. And I wore shorts to church. And she walked up to me and pinched me and said, "Don't you wear shorts to church. The younger kids are watching you." And for that point, for like a year straight, I didn't wear shorts to church. And I got to the point like, why can't we live in Mississippi? Why I can't wear shorts to church? Like, I'm a kid. And so I started back wearing shorts to church, and I never got nothing else said to me, but like we were taught that. And like I think clothes have I think they told you to wear all of that, the big suit, the long dresses, and to keep from having the real conversation about modesty. To keep from saying, hey, brother, you don't have to wear this, but just as long as your clothes aren't to this. Or even talking about a standard of dressing. Hey, even if you wear your white tee, iron your white tee, wash your white tee.
Your white tee. Don't let it be off-white.
Listen, put some shout. Shout it out. You see that collar right there, the little brown ring right there? Shout that out before you wash that thing next time. And I understand a standard and a look, but I also understand that our method of dressing is going to change. I was having a conversation the other day about like what I'm like, I have that in my mind. And so like now thinking that I have a daughter and like she's 2 now, but to think about what's going to be the comfort, like what's going to be modest, what's going to be the difference between modest and old fashioned when she gets to that age where she wants to, like, I'd be like midriff, like maybe that is how I'm having to walk through those things, but understanding that what the principle is, that not my preference. My preference is I don't want none of your body showing. You know, I need you to wear a chastity belt and cover up everything. I need your sleeves to come past your wrist and your pants.
I want you to be like Jesus, wrapped in swaddling clothes.
That's it.
I want you to be swaddled.
That's my preference. But the principle is going to be modesty, and I think when we look at the modesty and the standard, that you look like you're going somewhere. That even if you get on t-shirt and jeans, that you look like you're going somewhere. That your legs are lotioned, that your lips ain't crusty. That you done washed your face and got the sleep out your eyes. If you got facial hair that is groomed, like that, we talk about modesty and a standard. And so the misconception is I gotta wear that full. I gotta shop this brand, do this, wear this. But to get past that misconception and that myth is just looking at the principle of there's a standard for what you wear, even if it is casual. Let it be a standard. Let it look like something. Don't be a stumbling block with your clothes. Don't.
That's actually perfect, man. Because man, I remember my sister. Shout out to you, bro. Man, my sister, man, she a thickums, right? And so church people at our old church, man, used to really have a problem with her shape. So no matter what kind of jeans she wore on, no matter what kind of dress she had on, like it just always showed her figure. And I remember, man, she told me this story on how she came in and her dress, she had a pencil skirt. That's when saints used to wear pencil skirts all the time. And she had on a pencil skirt with some wedge heels, right? That was the style back in the day. And so she came into church with that. And one of the sisters of the church walked up to her, and you know how they always fold you something in your hand and then slide it in your hand, walk past and just put it in your hand like it's some money. But really it was a letter.
That drug deal hand pad.
And she walked behind her and grabbed her hand and slid something in her hand. And when it sat down, and she said when she opened up the envelope was a gift card to Marshalls. I don't know if it was, but I mean the exact store, but I'm gonna just use Marshalls. To Marshalls, and the letter said, what you wear on is a distraction. People should be here looking at Jesus and not you. And man, when I tell you, it stung my sister because she felt, man, me and you have a relationship. You could have called me, could have texted me, you could have did this, right? You rather use a Sunday when I'm trying to get what I need from God. Now I'm distracted by this comment. And we don't understand that there are so many people out there in the church that has this standard because they were given a standard. So their expectations of other people is based off of what they dealt with and what they learned and what they experienced. And so now I'm going to bully what I believe onto you, and you can't fight me because I'm the mother of the church. I'm the seniority of this ministry. So me telling you this is I'm God's mouthpiece. I'm pastor's mouthpiece. And I'm like, in the back of my mind, how dare you take your belief and thrust them on somebody else because you don't like her figure? What does her figure have to do with distraction? You know how many people run around this church while pastor trying to preach and they can't because they still yelling and screaming? That's a distraction. We trying to move on for the service and you over here fake speaking in tongues, holding up the service because you want to have your moment. That's a distraction. Come on, I can go on and on, but you want to talk about what she got on. You don't know what she's dealing with. You don't know what she's experienced. You don't even know if that's all she does have. But you want to slide her a note to say what you got on is a distraction. To who? Let's start there.
And I think a lot of times in those cases, it wasn't necessarily a distraction. I think even in those days, like growing up and me having just experiences and observations, just like looking at, a lot of times there was jealousy. There was, like, I was shaped like that. Or like mother knew that her husband liked that kind of shape. Mother might have had that shape back in the day and her husband fell. Grabbed it and grabbed a hold to it and pulled it every which way.
Let's talk about that.
and now she like, baby, I need you to wear a habit. You need to wear a habit and a lap. Like, again, the principle. I think that's one of the things I'm learning in life, that even as we look at most of the church misconceptions is that we didn't attack principles. We attacked people with our preferences. Like it's always a problem. It's a problem. Look at the problem. What's the problem? Don't attack the person. Hey, this is the problem, and here's the principle.
But why have clothes and what a person wears always been the problem? That's where I'm stuck at. Like, what is your problem with this individual coming to dress? Now, I get it. I understand there are women out there that are, they're Jezebels. I mean, we got them all in every church. We get it. Okay. Their whole purpose is to get people distracted. Now I get it. But if you know somebody that's not their ultimate goal, and this is just how they dress, this is just what they wear, are we more concerned about what they have on? And that's the part where a lot of these millennials are stuck at. No, they can come in here with a long skirt on and dress the attire. It's always going to be something, but why it got to be so tight? Or you wear something loose and, your butt's still showing, because that's how you build. You can wear a loose dress and when you walk, it flap. You can't change that. But you're still going to find that as a problem. A guy can come in. Before, when we was growing up, wide leg and big pants was a thing. Now skinny jeans and everything like that. Now your pants too tight. I can see your bulge. I can do this. I'm like, you talked about me when I had on wide legs and said that you still saw me. And now I got tight pants on because that's how I like to wear my clothes. And you still like, what are you looking for? What is the problem? Why are you so concerned about what the heck I got on my body rather than my posture of my heart?
Yeah.
That's the problem that this generation is suffering with. And that's why they don't want to come to church, because it's like, I don't want to come to church. Let's take the Gothic Christian. Let's take the Christian that just loves black. They wear black eyeliners. They wear black. That's just them. They ain't Gothic. They don't, but of course, when you wear that, that's the first thing that people say, you Gothic, you serve the enemy. No, I just like black. And that's just
devil worshiper.
Like. Devil worshiper. But what if that's just what they're into now, but they a Jesus freak. They love God probably more than you. I mean, I'm just saying, like, I've always had that issue, bro. I've always, like, I never understood why Christians bully their own Christian, like other believers, because to your point, you're either jealous that they're able to flip the way they do and you just being stuck, or you're so concerned about the image of your church that you would rather run somebody away for the sake of your ministry.
Yeah. And I think Tim, one of the things that I remember, my pastor, shout out to Pastor Larry Weems, Davis Temple Church of God in Christ. You won't leave like you came, in Jesus' name. I remember my pastor making a statement about you can't clean a fish before you catch a fish. And so he actually made a statement when I was a kid, and I remember because it stuck out with me, against like jumping on people for their clothes. Because when you look at the purpose of the church and what we're really supposed to be attracting, we're supposed to be attracting sinners. Sinners won't dress like, now I'm talking about churchy sinners. I'm talking about the ones from the street. Sinners ain't gonna dress like you. They're not gonna smell like you. As a matter of fact, their cologne is gonna be weed. It's gonna be loud, or it's gonna be some ungood smell, unpleasant smell. Like they might be musty. They might not have a cloth. It might be tight. It might be all they have. And I think our eyes have gotten on what people wear, because we've taken our eyes off Christ.
That's it.
I think in all of our misconceptions, because there's some more we got to get to, bro. In all of our misconceptions, that we look at the fact that we have placed our eyes on our preferences, and we've made clothes a status symbol, and we've made clothes and our preference for what we wear. We've made that like, this is the suit and tie church. The church up the street is the jeans and t-shirt church. Or this church is over there is the young people's church. And this, no. We're all God's church. Ain't no my church, your church, they church. No. It's all God's church. And Christ is coming back for his bride, not the Church of God in Christ and the Baptist and Pentecostals, the church apostolic faith. Not all them separate churches. He's gonna pick one. No. He's coming back for his church, his people. And what we're gonna realize is that the stuff that we've made our idol, and we've hung our hat on, won't even be existing in heaven.
That's real.
I know God ain't gonna give me no 3-piece suit when I get to heaven.
Right. It's not on the rack. As your name is called, here you
with
go.
Your crown. With your crown and your 3-piece. I'm gonna put on my robe and tell the story.
I'm going to put on my robe and suit and tie this story. How we made it all.
And my Stacey Adams for the women's, their red bottoms. You gotta wear them bloody shoes. These is bloody shoes.
You real holy because you're walking with the blood-stained banner of the Lord.
You stepping in blood everywhere you go. My. Dorothy may have had a yellow brick road, but you got a red one.
But you gonna have
the blood. Oh man. But yeah, that stuff ain't gonna make it to heaven. Nah. It's our form of fashion. And we like it. And if you get somebody that's I forgot who said this. But a guy, I took my kids to a conference, and Jeff told me this. And we went to SLU, and he told me, he said, man, your kids are great. He said, and all of them, they remind me of you. He said, and that's really good because they have a really good spirit. He said, you teach what you know, but you reproduce who you are. And when he said that, it's like my whole, like, is like I charged up, my battery filled up, but my spirit went real. Like I bowed to the Lord because a lot of times we try to reproduce not necessarily who we are, but what we wore. Because what we wore really hid well the mess that we were in. What we wore really hid the fact that we were in broken marriages and dysfunctional families. What we wore really hid the fact that we were schizophrenic in our walk with Christ. That on one day we could be holy, and the next day we could be whole-ish. What we wore like hid it, and so we put our eyes on that because what we're really doing. Thank you, Holy Ghost. What we're really doing is passing our fig leaves. Hey, put this. You take this. Hey, this is what you need to cover you. If you got these Stacey Adams figs on, these St. John figs on, if you got that 3-piece fig leaf on, if you got that below the knee length fig leaf on, you holy. And Jesus ain't died for none of that. And so it's become our distraction. Clothes have become our distraction. Our preferences have become our distraction. And even in music, I think that's another misconception that we can just slide on in there, that hymns are the way to heaven. That even if it's not hymns, shout music, or I don't like CCM, I don't like this, I don't like this. We have become such a genred church. Genre of clothes, genre of music, that whether you turn on some Uncle Reese, you turn on some Andre Crouch, or you turn on whatever you turn it on, as long as it's talking about Jesus. You can turn on some Maverick City music. I just need to know it's talking about Jesus. And I think now talking to the teenagers that I serve and the students that I serve, you might not know the song, and it might not be your style of worship or your style of music that you prefer, but that your salvation isn't based on your genre of music, genre of Christian music. Just I ain't got to know the song, but I know the Jesus they're talking about. I ain't got to know the song, but I've been through this struggle. Yeah, I don't have to like that style of music to be able to worship to it, because I really don't know what genre of music is going to be in heaven. Whether it's going to be CCM or hymns or anthems, I don't know. Whether Lecrae going to be on the mic, I don't know. Whether we're going to have Uncle Reese one day, I don't know what's going. I just know that I'm going to be spending eternities doing holy, 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 Hosanna. I just bless the Lord. Like I know I'm going to spend my eternity doing that, and I don't care what genre. I don't care if it got a beat to it or if it's standing straight still with a choir. I don't care. I think we've just our focus is on everything but God. It's on all the semantics of church. It's on all of it. What time we show up to church, where we sit in church, what kind of music we play in church, what we wear in the church. Our focus has been. I'm shaking the.
You're shaking the table.
But our focus is on all of that, and Jesus don't care about none of that. He wants our heart. He wants our heart to be focused on Him.
On Him. And I think that's the part. How do we get from here and get to a place where it's all about Jesus? Because I think as a culture, we know how to say it, right? We know how to say, this is our vision, this is our mission, everything that we do. iPad Missionary Baptist Church is vertical, is straight up to God, like everything. So we don't focus on here because everything is here, but we focus on here so it eliminates here. We're so focused on this that we miss this. So now we gotta watch this. We gotta fix, heal, restore this before we even teach this. Because so many people here have been hurt, they've been rejected, they're in pain, they can't see God because they've seen is people, they can't see God because people have blocked the actuality of who God is. They block that from their words, from their criticism, from their rejections, from their church hurt, from all of this. So we're spending more time trying to heal this so that people can get to hear. My question for a person that is listening, a person that has gone through church hurt, a person that has been rejected because of who they are and what they wear and all of the above, that person who was trying to get healed and then goes to a church and they rip that Band-Aid off and now you're bleeding all over again. So now you're trying to heal from that trauma and that pain again. How do we get those people back to what matters? To the heart of things. How do we get people to the point of, man, I want to focus on God and what he is doing for me and not care about the naysayers? Because again, let's be honest. How can you move past of what you hear from people and their words that really hurt? Like, how can my sister sit in church that Sunday, try to get a word from the Lord to make it to her next level in God, and all she's remembering is the note that she just got right before service?
Yeah.
What do you say to that person, Cal? What do you say to that person who is struggling, who's watching church online because they're fearful that they may not be received? What do you say to that millennial who is struggling with their identity? They're struggling with who they are. And they're like, man, I really want to go to a church, but how do I go to a church when I know they're probably going to view me differently? They're going to look at me differently. They're probably going to speak to me differently. They're probably going to be apprehensive on how they say or what they say and when they say it to me. Like, what do you say to that person who's like, man, I want to be a Christian. I love the Lord, and I want to really walk this thing out, but man, I'm just struggling with clothing myself with this identity of Christianity, but it may be rejected by the church. What do you say to that?
That's a good question. I think I can't just talk to them. I got to talk to two groups of people. First, I got to talk to the me and yous, the student pastors, creative pastors, the people that serve in church that have relationships with those older people. One is going to be relationship, and to those people that think like that, we have to, in a loving and graceful way, have dialogue with those people that still carry those misconceptions as law. That there are those holier than thou people that have the dress code and they look down on people. Like, because I really want to tell those people, do you remember the back in the day when you had your afro and your bell bottoms and somebody did that to you? Do you remember how that felt? Have the conversation of, that's not how we win souls. That have the conversation of, find the principle and redirect them in a better way of leading people in the principle. One of those Stanleys, and I always mess it up, which one of these? I think it was Andy Stanley said this, that rules without relationship bring rebellion. That a lot of times we're passing out what we want people to wear and what they have to wear, what they're supposed to do as a rule, and we don't have a relationship with the people that we're giving rules to. So because we don't have the relationship with them, they rebel against what we say. They either wear the opposite or they don't come back again. And it's not just they're not going back to your church. They're not going to anybody's churches because you represent God. You represent Christ because you're part of his church. And a lot of times people have looked at the wrong billboard and they've looked at that advertisement and said, that represents Christ. And if that's what Christ is like, if that's what I'm going to be like, if I accept Christ in my life, I don't want that. And so I got to talk to the usses. I got to talk to the church secretaries. I got to talk to the old lady who's been in church forever, and we got to show them in a graceful way to form relationships and bring accountability that's not hinged on their preference but a principle. That's the first conversation. To the second group of people that have stopped coming to church because you're scared of what people are going to say about what you're wearing is I need you to think about, I need you to read your Bible. that Tim, when you were talking about this and this, that we can't get our vertical right because we're so messed up in the horizontal. The fact that Jesus, when he walked into the earth, and look at his horizontal. Mm-hmm. Look at it. Look across Jesus's horizon. Look at the people that he sat and ate with, and when he sat and ate with the people that were the upper echelon and they were this and that. Look at the people that he let wash his feet. Imagine what Mary had on while she was washing Jesus's feet. Mm-hmm. Imagine the woman at the well that had 5 husbands. The one she was with wasn't hers. That he told her about herself. Imagine like her fashion, and even if she was dressed like everybody else, in people's eyes, she wasn't supposed to be near nobody else. The woman with the issue of blood,
wasn't even supposed to be around nobody.
She wasn't supposed, and so people have looked at those people in the Bible like they weren't supposed to be there. But it was the very people that weren't supposed to be there that got what they needed.
That part.
And so even if you are one of the people that people are looking at your clothes and saying they're not supposed to be here, she's not one of us. Like, even if they're looking at you like you ain't supposed to be here, you're the very person that's supposed to be there. That you're in the right place at the right time. And even if your clothes are different, that it's not about the people. Because people have no heaven or hell to put you in. People can't save your soul. People can't deliver you. People can't heal you. Only God can. And if you distance yourself from God because of people, them people will go to another eternity than you will. And you let them, like, you let those things, like your clothes ain't gonna make it to heaven. They won't. They won't. And if you let your clothes keep you from God, you won't make it to heaven.